You're listening to the Fatboy Show on your number one station, RX Radio. I hope you're enjoying this a very, very beautiful day. Of course, this wouldn't apply to you if by any chance your name is a Queen KAFTAH or KAFTAH Queen. You know who she is. She has a very strange name, almost as though she's in the entertainment industry, like a musician or something. Well, anyway, Queen KAFTAH is that unfortunate young lady who you saw in that now viral video of two friends arguing over some boyfriend or something. And in it, we see a Queen KAFTAH just showering a young, helpless young child by the name of Pretty Nicole, battering her, kicking her, and slapping her around. And then in another video, pouring filthy water on her, and it was so terrible, and everyone was left wondering, who is this person and why is she acting like this? And of course, as we learned more facts, we found that there was a man involved who this lady, Queen KAFTAH, she was suspecting her friend Pretty Nicole of sneaking around with her boyfriend, so Queen KAFTAH decided to brutalize her good friend.
Take matters into her own hands, you mean?
They were good friends.
Yes, they were good friends.
And so Queen KAFTAH indeed took matters into her own hands and tried to
teach
impose
Nicole a lesson.
some form of justice.
Yeah.
But it looks like the tables have turned. Instead, she is the one who has faced justice. Upon the video going viral and for calls for police to intervene, Queen KAFTAH was arrested and then charged and then presented before court. And then now she's been found guilty. And she's now been sentenced to 3 years in prison. Can you believe?
3 years.
3 years in jail for Queen KAFTAH. And this is very, very tragic. Now, most people seem to be feeling like the punishment was excessive.
Actually, those are my sentiments. But before we go into my sentiments, the chief magistrate, that is Roslyn Senge, the one who gave this ruling, who sentenced her to 3 years in prison, said that the court has a duty to teach the public that such actions are not allowed in our society. And she went on to say that the punishment should deter other children from getting involved into such ideas or stories or
so
acts.
Just on the topic of children, now that you mention it, well, whereas the victim in the video
is a minor,
Pretty Nicole, 14 years old at the time of the video's release.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the perpetrator, KAFTAH Queen, was 18
yes.
or is 18.
Yes.
Meaning she's an adult.
Yes.
And because of that disparity, this, I think, correlates with the severity of the offense. That's attracting this sentence, which actually, as far as the law goes, the maximum sentence for this charge would have been life in prison.
So yeah, actually the magistrate said that because she's a first offender and she's 18 and still a student, and she admitted, she pled guilty, she was like, you know what, let me just give you 3 years so that it acts as a deterrent, so that you can come out in 3 years and, you know, move on with your life.
Let me ask you.
If you to ask me, it is excessive. 3 years is too much. Yet we've not had anything done to Derek Ranga, the purported boyfriend.
Well, he didn't assault anyone.
Well, aggravated defilement. Hello.
Is there proof?
Which proof do I need?
You do need proof.
If there is no proof, fine. But there has to be an investigation, and I have not had anything to that effect.
Two things have to happen. First, Nicole would have to claim that or admit to some sort of sexual encounter between this individual and herself, which I don't know if she has admitted to. We know that she was being accused of sleeping with this man. We don't know if she actually did it.
That's true.
Right? So that's number one. Number two, there would have had to be some form of evidence available to prove that.
That's why
forensic evidence.
That's why I'm saying an investigation.
Now,
has anyone tried or even bothered?
Given the kind of girl that Pretty Nicole seems to be, which unfortunately she's, from the other videos of her that we've seen from our social media, we know that she's a bit of a wild girl, party girl.
The video
it's easy.
Saying she was dancing. Is dancing criminal?
No. It's not criminal, but it points to the fact that she's most likely sexually
wayward.
that and sexually active. Meaning, to establish some form of sexual encounter between her and any other party, it may be hard. Whereas, unlike, let's say, a case of a defilement of a child who would probably have been a virgin and there may be some evidence of bruising and all that, this is a lady who seems like she's been around, which would not excuse any sexual act performed on her by an adult. I'm just saying that the burden of proof is that much higher, and it would have to be met in order for them to want to pursue charges on this individual, Luanga.
And yes, and you're right. But my question is, has anyone even bothered to, start an investigation, look into it, and see if there is any probable chance that he was sleeping with Pretty Nicole? And also, KAFTAH has been sentenced to 3 years in prison. Where are her colleagues? Because she was not alone. There was a sister, and there was another friend, and there was the guy that was capturing the video. This was collusion, and all of these guys must be brought to book.
From the
I
video,
feel like this is selective justice.
so you're saying that the video shows that there were other people involved in the assault
video,
of this
there are
child.
other people. There is a lady who introduces herself to Pretty Nicole as KAFTAH's sister, and then there is another lady,
And she also slaps Pretty Nicole.
exactly. Yes, and then there is the one who brought the dirty water, the filthy water that was poured on her.
Right.
These guys were in this together. Why is it that one person is, suffering the brunt because she did the most of the beating?
That's a very good question, and the police is going to have to answer that. I'm also curious to know whether or not there could have been room for Nicole to forgive
No,
this
actually,
person, because they are friends, or at least they were.
They were. This was now the state. Nicole had no say in this. It was the state prosecuting Queen KAFTAH. That is her name, Queen KAFTAH. But still, I feel like 3 years is a lot, Fatboy. 3 years is a lot. I know Nicole is young, but if the other maid of 8 years ago who was caught on camera beating a child, I don't know if you remember, in 2014, who was caught on camera beating, I think, a 1.5-year-old baby, got 4 years. I feel like that was a bigger sin compared to this. And I'm not condoning women fighting for men or beating each other over men. I'm just like, couldn't she get maybe 6 months or a year? Or,
Well, let's hope that.
1 year of community service like Pastor Sempa and Solomon Male once got to clean Mulago Hospital twice a week for a year after they accused Pastor Kayanja of homosexuality.
Well, you know what? Maybe the lesson here is if you feel like beating up on your friend, don't film it. Because if it were not for that,
We wouldn't have known.
A, we wouldn't have known, and
Yeah.
B, the two could have even made up and still been friends.
Maybe that,
But
yeah.
things escalated now beyond where there's really it doesn't seem like there's room for reconciliation. But nonetheless, wouldn't she be able to plead for mercy on behalf of her friend that, look, I know my friend hit me and she shouldn't have, but I feel bad for her. So please, government of Uganda, exercise lenience. Couldn't she have been brought in as a character witness?
The thing about the law is that it is not emotional. So if there is enough evidence for someone to be tried and, imprisoned, you cannot come in with a sob story and change or, sway the opinion or the ruling of the judge. You can't do that.
Now, of course, the biggest irony is the man in question who she was fighting over.
He's going to stay outside and might continue with Pretty Nicole.
There you go.
While she's in the coolers. So maybe what we learn from this as women, I've never understood why every time your man steps out on you, cheats on you with another chick, whether your friend or your sister or someone you don't know, you feel the need to attack this person. Attack your man if you must. But if I were you, I would just move on.
Because what's her name? Queen KAFTAH has lost her freedom, and she's also most likely lost to the man. There's no way. There's no way he's going to sit around waiting for her to serve her time and be released. And then be there at the gates of Luzira prison saying,
oh, my
honey,
baby.
welcome home.
No,
welcome to freedom.
That only happens in
Let's now go for ice cream and live happily ever after.
That only happens in movies. And unfortunately for her, this is real life.
Okay, so I do hope that I don't know. I feel like this. Do you know what's going to happen? I think her sentence is going to be reduced, or if so, she's going to serve less time. She's going to be out less than a year.
I
within
hope
less
so.
than a year.
Because I believe at her age, if it is just to, to teach her a lesson, I'm sure even this back and forth going to court, remember she has been on remand since 17th January.
Correct.
So I believe that even that period in remand was enough to teach her a lesson. But women out there have to learn that now we can take you to court and
I don't
you
know.
can go to jail for beating us.
I don't know if women now should feel worried, because it feels like there's just been so many legal precedents in the past several days that seem to be showing ladies finally getting a taste of justice.
I mean,
there was the story of the
mean
guy.
that
There was the guy who they told the girl that she had to refund the guy
10 million shillings.
10 million shillings
Yes.
for refusing to marry him. And apparently the reason she lost is that she actually did not appear in court. So
she snubbed the court.
exactly, and you never do that.
You don't do
because when you
that.
do that, then the judge will just rule in favor of the plaintiff.
Exactly. That is why a minister was censured last week, because she snubbed parliament. You don't do certain things.
Yeah.
You show up, look remorseful, cry, and maybe the odds may be in your favor.
So even if someone sues you because you owe them 5,000 shillings, once you receive the summons, you better show up to court.
Yeah, and by the way, if you sue, let's say if you sue me and then I'm presented in court and you don't show up for a given period of time, court will just dismiss the case. You're not interested.
Well. You see, I think there has to be a greater civic education. People need to understand how the law works so that they
Yeah.
don't run afoul of it.
Yeah.
So girl child, watch out.